ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। आङ्गिकं
भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारातीतं नुमः सात्विकं शिवम्। Shri Sai Ram. Come and sit down. First, I would like to explain what I am going to start with today. Today's lesson is going to be on Astapadi. But before going into it, I would like you to have a recap of all that you have studied in the aspect of the development of Bharatanatyam and how it has assimilated so many musical forms into its repertoire. Okay? Today we begin with understanding the development of Bharatanatyam, which I have already done, but it's always good to get a recap of certain elements before we start a new lesson. And here we are going to see how Bharatanatyam developed. It has been evolving beautifully and how it has assimilated so many musical forms into it. And then you would be able to place Ashtapadi in its repertoire very, very clearly. So here you know something about Bharatanatyam, how almost all forms we accept have their origin or their roots or their foundation in the Natya Shastra. Have you heard of the Natya Shastra? Yeah. So Natya Shastra, which is ascribed to whom? Bharata Muni. And how did Bharata Muni get it? From Brahma, who created the Panchamam Veda by culling material from the four Vedas. So this Panchamam Veda, which came to be known as Natya Shastra, because Veda is knowledge, and the knowledge that he gave in the fifth Veda was codified as Shastra by Bharata Muni. This is how it has been accepted, and this became the fountainhead for all art forms that have emerged as individual performing arts. Natya Shastra addresses that form of Indian art where it was a holistic theatrical presentation. So the movement.
So even today, all the dances perform exactly what is in the Natya Shastra?
No. Almost no dance form, that is, today when we are talking about different forms, we mean the different Deshi forms. What is Deshi? Deshi refers to the region. So all the regional forms which we see today as the vast variety of Indian classical dances, folk dances, tribal dances, traditional theatres, so many variety of art forms that we see, performing arts in India. They have their roots in the Natya Shastra, but they don't have a complete identity of what was performed during the period of Natya Shastra. Obviously, we don't have a complete record of what exactly happened at that time, but with the clarity of the text and Abhinava Bharati, that is Abhinava Gupta's commentary on the Natya Shastra, which he lived in the 10th century, and that kind of traces even from Bharata's time to his time how much has evolved. So in the course of so many centuries, actually so many changes have taken place, and with his commentary we are able to understand some aspects of Natya Shastra with clarity, and this gets strengthened by certain literary works which have come later, and the sculptures which are there in the temple, and such others which have been helping scholars to reconstruct a lot of Natya Shastric material. So Natya Shastra does not give any particular style of dance. Understand? It gives a lot of body movements, and the angas, that is the major limbs, and upangas, the minor limbs, have all to be learned and practiced. And after each one of them is done several times like exercise, then they are brought together with lot of rechakas. Rechakas are the subtle movements, and when they are put together, they create a unit of movement called the karana. This unit of movement, there are 108 mentioned in that, and they all become part of Natya, like ancillaries, supportive to Natya, because a Pravishika Dhruva is used, in which the king or the Vidushika will enter, and there is a particular karana ascribed in through which he has to enter.
So theatre was the main
Theatre,
art form,
yes.
and both music and dance versions.
Both music and dance actually supported to create that holistic theatre. What we have in Natya Shastra is a holistic theatre of dance, music, mime, dialogue, everything together formed the ancient Indian theatre. And in course of time, naturally things have to keep changing, and that is the strength of any performing art. Even today we can see day to day how every different style is evolving, and certain boundaries which were there are all merging, and we can see so many changes in performing art, isn't it? So each aspect, some aspect of Natya Shastra was taken by the different regional forms, and as we see in Angika, we can say that certain Nritta Hastas we can see in Kathak, like the Urdhva Mandali. Then we can see Suchya in Manipuri, and you can see certain aspects scattered all over India, because each region had its own preference known as Pravritti, and they chose certain aspects according to the regional interest. Okay, so this is how from Natya Shastra the dance element was one aspect of theatre. It would come feature as part of the Purvaranga to create an auspicious beginning for the theatrical purpose. And as I told you, it was integrated because all entries, all exits, and certain aspects of fight sequences, all these were based on the Nritta aspect, where the charis and all these came into use. And there is a chapter on mandalas which shows that those were movements prescribed for showing fight sequences. So all these Nritta element which is there in Natya Shastra was part of theatre, and music also was part of it, because wherever Nritta was introduced there would be a Dhruva. A Dhruva is the song. So if there was a Pravishika Dhruva, that particular lyric would be sung in certain talas which are mentioned there, and certain karanas would be performed. So this is how the Natya Shastra was there. And the beauty of our classical forms is that each region developed its own kind of style. That you understand. You have gone through various deshis, okay? And the beauty of, I am coming to Bharatanatyam straight away because your course deals with Bharatanatyam. And you know, from the time of Shilapadiharam, Ilango Adigal has written the Shilapadiharam, and in that so many aspects of the dance movements of South are mentioned, and so many kind of Koothu. Koothu was the equivalent word for dance in Tamil. So many kinds of Koothu are mentioned, and then we can see, at least through literary source, we know that all the style, various forms of dance existed, and they've constantly been changing according to the need of the people, the interest of the people.
So we can say that since there are so many Deshi forms, each of them follows a separate textbook, or?
Yes, to a great extent. See, any art form, when a text is created, we understand that it is the codification of certain aspects which have been practiced, perfected, and then certain rules have come into existence which can be codified and created like a shastra. It is like any scientific experiment you do in the laboratory. You want to create a medicine. For that, several things are being experimented till the final result is arrived at. When you know the success of that, then that formula becomes codified. It is brought down as a formula for that medicine. But so much of experiment has gone through. This is how all the texts have come into existence. Many texts have come into existence after Natya Shastra.
And would there be any one form which we could say today comes the closest to what is given in the Natya Shastra, or all of them take?
All of them take certain elements. So we cannot, no style can totally claim that it is from Natya Shastra. For the first reason that we really don't know what exactly was performed. There have been many scholars, many artists who have who have gone into the Natya Shastra and made attempts to revive, to reconstruct, and to bring into practice certain movements. Each one's interpretation has been slightly different. Now, for instance, my guru, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, studied the Natya Shastra, correlated the text of Natya Shastra and Abhinav Bharati with the sculptures of Karanas which have been codified in the temples of the south by the Chola kings. The Chola kings were great patrons of art, and for the first time in our country, the Karanas have been codified visually. But what is the codification in sculpture? It is just the frozen moment of a movement. It cannot be an entire movement. So, on the basis of that and the existing styles which are there, she was able to reconstruct an entire gamut of interpretations of the Karanas. As I was telling you, the Nritta Karanas are codified in the southern temples, in the Gopuram of the Chidambaram temple as we enter. In the Gopuram, from the eye level to a great height, we have on all the four Gopurams with the name of the couplet is given below it. The couplet is beautifully given. In the Tanjavur temple, on the top tier, which is not visible to the common person, above inside the Shikhara, on the first tier, the Karanas are sculpted, and it is like making a circumambulatory over in the Shikhara. Of course, there are only 81 sculpted there. After that, there are no more Karanas. Here, they are with 4 arms showing animation of the movement. Then there are some in the Sarangpani temple in Kumbakonam which are brought from some other place and kept. And these are not aligned in the correct order of the Karanas, that itself shows that it was brought from somewhere else. But the Karana movements are slightly different from what we have in the other temple. So what happens is here the number and the name is sculpted below. So as a student, if you put these together, you can see almost a kind of animation of the movement. So this helps in understanding the Karana. I will demonstrate that to you through one Karana. So having studied this, she was able to, it was like understanding the Karanas, it was like going backwards. To understand the Karana, you have to understand the Chari. Then to understand the chari, you have to understand the angas, upangas. So that is how it went. And then we can understand that Natya Shastra had a very beautiful pedagogy where every limb is trained individually and then put together with certain rechikas, and the Nritta Karanas were created. And as I told you earlier, the Nritta Karanas by themselves did not pertain to any style. They were units of dance movements. And all the Deshi forms that have come into existence, that is, whatever they preferred, they had chosen and created their own style of performance. You can see the regional preference in the movements, in their costume, in the language, in their abhinay also. And all this put together, when it reached a level of perfection, a book was written by a certain Acharya. So that is how almost all regional forms have their own texts also.
So everybody uses the Nritta Karanas today?
Yes,
All
all styles use the Nritta Karana to some extent. Now, for instance, the reconstruction done by my guru, she brought into practice, she revived it, she brought into practice and synthesized it into the existing system of Bharatanatyam, because she was basically a Bharatanatyam artist. So she synthesized every movement that she felt she had reconstructed as authentically as possible from what she understood. She synthesized into the existing system of Bharatanatyam. And slowly her style of Bharatanatyam itself started changing, which she started calling as Bharata Nrityam, so that there won't be confusion, because naturally the public felt that this was very different from the Bharatanatyam that we have been seeing all these years. And in course of time, she herself realized that Odissi has certain movements, Kathak has certain movements, and some Karanas look like Odissi, some Karanas look like Manipuri. And so this kind of opened up the mind of many scholars, young scholars, to do research to find where the link came, where the beginning was. And so that was a great opening, and she made the people realize that, there was a period of time when great scholars had studied the Karanas because they had studied the Natya Shastra. But the Karanas which were recorded in the temple, particularly the Chidambaram temple, there were 108 in serial order. So they put them as Karana poses. So for a long time, there was a period of time when scholars thought these were only poses. Then she brought it to light, which is there in the Natya Shastra. She brought that aspect of Natya Shastra to light by saying Karana comes from the root word krin, which itself means kriya. So it is a movement, it is an action, it is not a pose. And what is recorded in the sculpture is only a moment of the movement, just as we would have a still photography. When you do your natadu, if you are caught like this is not natadu. It is either this or you are like this, then it is just a still photography, a moment of your entire adam. So this was a kind of awareness created in the next generation of people who wanted to do research. Is that clear? So there have been a lot of people who are doing a lot of work on Natya Shastra and understanding the Karanas, but some have used the Karana, just the shloka of the Karana that is given in the Natya Shastra, which is like a sutra. We have to go deeper into it, and that we are able to do only with Abhinav Bharati, Abhinav Gupta's Abhinav Bharati. If we start understanding, yes. For instance, the first Karana itself, it says you keep Pushpa Putta Hasta to the left with Agratala Pada. Show me. You know these positions. You know how to keep Pushpa Putta. Yes. Now, if you come to a position like yes, and keep Agratala Pada, where would you keep? Agratala. Okay. Now we have a sculpture frozen like this. Then there is one more where the other Agratala is there. Then what would happen? Then you would have a Dvibhangi. Earlier you did a Tribhangi. Come back to the old. So here you did a Tribhangi. You understand the Bhangis? Yeah. What happens? There is yes, 3 flexions, and that had only 2 flexions. Now Abhinav Bharati actually gives the scope for reaching both these positions by using certain charis. One he says Adhyartika chari, another he says Avidha chari. So by reconstructing that, she had to arrive in this. My guru took several years. She started her research probably in 1968 when she completed her postgraduate study doing in music. And even at that time she felt that there is so much in music, vastness in music which can be incorporated into Bharatanatyam. But her interest was naturally in the Nritya Karanas, and every time she went to the temple she saw it, she wanted to reconstruct. So her work started in about 1968, but mind you, she completed only towards the end of 70s.
More than 10 years?
Yes, more than, almost in the beginning of 80s she finished. 81 or so when she could actually, because she was never able to complete the thesis if she was not clear, because she felt, I feel responsible to the posterity, because it is not that easy. So if anybody wants to do research, this much effort has to go if you want to reconstruct and bring something for posterity. So her work is a significant milestone in the history of dance study, that you should be able to understand. And understanding the concept that she has given to us, I would like to teach you a few movements which will be incorporated into the understanding and study of the Astapadi, to be able to give certain nuances which will bring out the emotional content of the Astapadi. And at the same time, I want to tell you, as Bharatanatyam has evolved, how it was during Shilapadikaram, then during the Maratha kings of Tanjavur, they made such wonderful contribution in the form of music. Nirupanas were created, and they never changed the dance. They used the Sadiratam which was prevalent, the Asiyatam which was prevalent, and they gave more musical forms to it. And so Bharatanatyam has been assimilating several types of musical forms, and then from Tanjavur period, from the period of the Marathas, now what we see has also undergone a lot of change. And today almost every region practicing Bharatanatyam. There are Bharatanatyam teachers almost all over the world, and they are using not only the regional music of various parts of India, but also of the world. So while assimilating different music, we've got they've also taken music from other regions of India. As I told you, there is something called Sugam Sangeet, in which we use all various swaras according to the mood of the song. So I am going to teach you an Ashtapadi, which is like a mishra of various ragas, but which actually complements the mood where the Sakhi tells Radha, dresses her up, tells this young Radha to go towards Krishna. So here we have used the concept of the Sugam Sangeet style, in which we actually assimilated various strings of music, some shades of Behag, some Dvijavanti, all these come in to create that ambience according to each paragraph. So according to that we will be using that music, and that I will teach you. First you learn the certain movements I want you to understand. Okay, we will start with a few Upangas. Get up. Okay, as I told you, these are movements reconstructed by my guru, and according to that these come under the Angika Abhinaya chapter of Natya Shastra, which are from 9 to 13 we have quite a vast area. In that, after every part of the body is being trained, I want you to understand the concept of the hip movement. Okay, this is an anga called kati. Kati, there are 6 angas that you know: Shira, Hasta, Ura, Pashva, Kati and Pada. All the others we use a lot in Bharatanatyam. The concept of Kati is something that I would like you to understand to show the movements of Radha. Okay, the first one is where you just turn on your hip like this. That is called Chinna. Just try, just push your hip as though you're breaking it away and turn it. That's called Chinna. Okay, come back. Once you're in that position, we use the movement to do Nivritta. Nivritti means to come back to the original position. So when you, wherever you're facing, suppose you're facing me, if you do this it would be Chinna, if you return it would be Nivritta. If you're facing there, if you turn to the back, that would be Chinna and return would be Nivritta. Now just try, yes, push your hip and turn, and then push this and return. So this gives the Kati Bheda of Chinna and Nivritta. Okay. Rechita means to rotate. So here we rotate the hip like this, in which you have to draw your stomach in, push your hip to one side, take it behind, push it to the other side and bring it in front. So you do a rotation. Don't move your torso, hold on to your waist and just do, yes, rotation of the Kati. This is called Rechita, and in the Karanas, a part of the Rechita can be used. It can be just on one side. Understand? So these things I would be using in the Astapadi. Okay. So now we have learned 3: Chinna, Nivritta and Rechita. Then we have Kampita, in which the hip is taken behind and drawn in. It's, yeah, so that is called Kampita. And Udvahita is where the hip is raised on one side. Udvahita. Okay. So this is to a great extent used in all styles of dance when they want to show a Devi, or even when they show Rama, when they show Krishna standing like this. Udvahita is still there. So it is there in practice, though it may not be actually taught as such. Okay. So you understood the Kati Bheda? So you just try once, I am telling you, do Chinna Chaiva Nivritta Cha Rechita, round, both sides. Okay. Kampita Tatha Udvahita Cheti Kati Natye Nritye Cha Panchadha. You understand how the shloka says Natye Nritye Cha Panchadha. So it was used for dance and for theatre, because if you stand like this, then Udvahita automatically comes. So there are certain positions which, or walking, the heroine walks like this, then there is Udvahita. Okay. Then I would like to teach you one Upanga of Janga. You understand, Janga is the shank, that you understand. Okay. Just move a little behind, I will show you how it goes. First, you cross one shank in front of the other, that is called Avartitam. Yes, that is called Avartitam. And if you use a Udvahitam with Avartitam, walk, Cross, cross nicely. Without sitting, without sitting. You should stand and do. First, anyway, you learn avartitam. Okay? Avartitam is where you cross. Okay? Natam is where you bend the shank towards the thigh. So, do it in complete seating position. This is like what we sit in mandi. Put your knees together. This is also natam. Turn both the knees to one side. This is also natam. Turn it to this side. This is also natam. Suppose you sit like this. Keep your hand like this and sit. Then you are in natam, but you can show the heroine sitting like this, waiting for Krishna. Okay, get up. Okay. Now, even half seated is under natam. That apart, put your knees together. Put your knees together. Okay. Now, take your knees on one side and take it on the other side. Push your, yes, and turn your body completely. Yes. This is also natam. Understand? You can see a lot of sculpture like this. Huh? And okay, now the next one is called chiptam. Chiptam means to throw it out of your body. Now let me see how well you can throw. Raise your leg and throw. Do at the side. Can you throw it? Yes, very good. Throw this side. This is called chiptam. Okay. You can also do in front. Can you throw in front? Okay. Try the other leg. You can also throw across. Yes. So when you show any kind of swaying movement, and if you did this, you would be doing chiptam across and chiptam at the side. Understand? So these would again become part of Krishna and Radha dancing together, if you want to show them. Okay? So you would get that kind of move. Just try. Swing across, swing here. Okay? So you get chiptam on both sides. Okay. So you get chiptam. Udvahitam is where you raise the janga towards, just raise it up towards the chest. Yes. Okay. Do at the side. Okay. Now do across. Freeze it like that. Lock it at the back. Raise it. Now sit like this. Now you can get a pose of a heroine sitting like this. Understand? Okay? You got it? So this is all Udvahitam. Now Parivrittam, raise it at the back. Raise, yes, correct. Yes, raise it behind you and across. Cross at the thigh, cross at the thigh. Let the shank be seen. Bring the shank out of your body. Yes. Then this side. Little more. Okay. So when you cross at the thigh, you know how many swastikas we have. We use this swastika so often in our adabus. Then when you stand, you can cross at your shank. Okay. When you stand like this, you can cross at your thigh. When you stand like this and raise your leg, then you get Parivrittam where the shank is seen. Did you understand? This is known as Upanga. These come under the Upangas, that is the minor limbs. I want to just, these two we will try and use. Wherever I want to include anything else at that point of time, I will show you what it is. After training the Angas, Upangas and Nritahastas, there are several Nritahastas, 13 Nritahastas, out of which probably we would be using a few. I will tell you, that comes in the chapter on Hastas. I think it comes in the 9th chapter in some editions. It changes according to the editions. In that, under Shaka, Shaka means all the hand movements. All the Abhinay Hastas, that is single hand, double hand and Nrita Hastas, then Hasta Karanas, all these are in the chapter on Shaka. So whenever it is necessary, I will teach you this, that just learn the Hasta Karanas which we would need. Vyavartitam is where you take your little finger and take it in, and Parivartitam you bring it out like this. Yeah, Vyavartitam and Parivartitam. We would need this to show the movement of Radha and Krishna in some chariot. Udveshtita and Apaveshtita, where you turn from the index finger, open like this from the index finger and turn it in like this. So you want to do movements like this. When they are dancing together, you are going to show that they are in a bower, beautifully decorated. So you want to show how the flowers are there. You do Vyavartitam and Parivartitam. So all this will help, these Rechakas will help in enhancing your learning of the Ashtapadi. So you understood now, there are certain elements which we are going to use, one Anga, Upanga and certain Nrittahastas, okay. So now we will conclude today's session and then commence with the Ashtapadi next.